How's it going, neighbors? This is Ed here with etrailer.com, and we're taking a look at the installation and some of the features for the MORryde spare tire replacement, JL reinforcement bar, and upgraded hinges for your Jeep Wrangler JL. MORryde, they actually make these hinges for the person that's looking for a beefier, more substantial hinge versus what you get from the OEM package. This is going to allow your back door to have that firm foundation if you want to go all out with an entire kit that's going to give you a bigger wheel and bigger tire. This is just thicker, more heavy duty components. Just comparing your tire holder, your OEM is made of this plastic composite that's designed to hold up against the weather. You know, it's not gonna crack on you. It's gonna give you pretty durable life, and it'll probably last the life of your vehicle. However, if you're upgrading your wheels and you have heavier rims and bigger tires, you're definitely gonna want something that's a lot more sturdy. This guy is powder coated steel, so it's gonna hold up against the elements, and with MORryde in general, the products, the materials they use in their products are gonna help you get a nice service life out of it. So I just wanted to point out those few differences so you can kind of see what you're upgrading to. Our materials are a powder coated steel that's laser cut to fit precisely in this dead space where there was nothing beforehand. So after removing your spare tire, you're gonna have to remove this plastic panel here. I have a panel removal tool. You could use a screwdriver and just be a little extra cautious, but these guys they come in handy to keep from damaging your plastics. So we're gonna get this part off, and now we're just gonna get in between the body and the plastic panel. Just kind of pry it away from the clamps. As you can see on our 24, the access panels that we have for our bolts assemblies are under this sticker. So I just took my blade here and just kind of got around the edge of it, and it just appears that this cover or whatever this is they put in here is just painted right over, and that's going to get you access. So I'm going to do the same down here, and then we're going to move on to the next step of getting those hinges on. All right, so now we're going to close our door and remove our exterior bolts. Just want to be cautious of your paint because they are painted over, so you want to make sure you're not damaging anything. Using my body panel tool, I'm just going to kind of use that to get a little leverage on the hinge itself, and you can see right here it's still kind of tight against the body. So we're just gonna, and that's just mostly the grime of the dirt holding it on. And now we're going to remove our 3 bolts holding our hinges on. I'm going to do the top ones first. All right, and after you remove all 3 bolts, you'll be able to remove your OEM hinge. So your MORryde hinge is going to install the same way as your OEM part. We're just going to slide that guy in and fasten it in with our hardware. Reuse my same hardware. I'm just going to get these guys started by hand. I'm just going to keep it a little loose until I get all 3 bolts in, just so I can have a little maneuverability to get everything aligned. So I took out our lower bracket, and we're going to do the same process. We're just going to slide this into the opening on the door and just reuse our hardware to fasten it to the body. So for your exterior hardware, you're not going to make use of that T55 star bolt any longer. You're going to switch it out for these 15mm bolts, and these guys are going to fit into that same thread pitch. I have a little bit of an extension because it goes in slightly deeper, and then we're just going to slowly fasten it in. I'm going to do one side at a time and then go back and forth with the lower 2 just to make sure everything goes in evenly. Now that we have our hinges installed on the door, we're going to fasten our bracket support right here, and then we're almost home. And now we have our upgraded hinge assembly. Our door moves in full motion, but you know you're going to be able to support those heavier tires. So our next step is going to be reinstalling our plastic panel, and it's just going to snap right back into place. You're just going to align these contact points with the points on the body and just give it a little nudge back into position. All right, and with our last panel back in place, we've installed our upgraded hinges for our Jeep Cherokee Unlimited. So we're going to start by removing our spare tire cover using our M13 socket. Once you get all your hardware removed, you want to be careful of your backup camera. Now we're going to follow our wiring from our camera and backup light through the pass-through, and we're going to remove the rear panel of our door and disconnect it. Now I found that, you know, it'd probably be a good idea to just take one of your bolts just to hold the spare holder in place. All right, now we have our handy dandy panel removal tool. I'm just going to pop this smaller panel off. I'm just going to get on the edge here in this seam. And that's kind of how you saw it slip. That's kind of one of the reasons you want to get a panel tool, so you don't scratch the plastic. Because if that was a screwdriver or a pry bar, you just scratched your new Jeep. Just going to kind of pull it away. And you'll snap out these clamps as you go. And now you're going to remove your connection. You're going to see these 3 connections on the inside, and you only need to do the top 2. I'm going to take my glove off because it's a lot easier to do these little tabs. And you're just going to squeeze, push down on this tab here, and it'll come right off. And on this one, you're going to push. There you go. You're pushing right here, and it'll just pop right off. And now we're going to be able to pull these 2 wires out the back of the door. So now we're going to pull our rubber grommet and kind of carefully feed our connections out. And now we can completely remove our old tire carrier. Now we're going to remove our bolts right here from our hinges. All right, and now we're going to slide in our hinge bracket. We want to make sure that this square with the 2 holes are facing towards the driver's side. And we're just going to align the holes on the bracket with the holes onto our frame. And I'm just going to get my bolts started by hand, making sure everything lines up. And once I get a couple threads in, then I'm going to secure it with my tool. Now I'm going to do my lower bracket the same way. All right, now we're going to install our upgraded support bracket onto our hinge brackets using the included hardware. We're just going to fasten it in and drop it along the holes. So leaving the bracket nuts and bolts loose are going to allow you to get this put together pretty easily, and then we can go back and fasten everything down. So I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom bracket, and we'll fasten all of our bolts. So you're going to use your box wrench just to stabilize the nut while you fasten down the top. So I'm going to go through and also fasten this hardware to get our bracket nice and firm. All right, we're going to use a T25 bit, and we're going to remove the hardware on our spare tire carrier. This is going to allow us to get our camera bracket off and installed onto our upgraded spare carrier. Now that we removed our T25 screws, we're going to remove our bracket here, and it may take a little bit of force. I would grab a rubber mallet if it gets stuck and just be cautious of your plastic parts. And we're gonna now remove our brake light assembly also. So we just have the 2 screws here on both sides. We're gonna take that out and move this equipment over to our upgraded carrier. We're gonna take our brake light and backup camera assembly and install it onto our tire rack. So I'm just gonna use the top hole here, but you can make adjustments based on the size of your tire. And you're just gonna reinstall the same bolts that you used to remove it from the OEM tire holder. And to fasten your hardware, you're using the same T25 socket bit that you were using to remove your backup camera and backup light assembly. So at this point, we're just gonna kind of stuff our camera assembly right through the opening. It's not time to fasten it, but we're just gonna place it there and just be mindful of all of our wires. Now we're gonna bolt our tire carrier onto the Jeep itself. So your OEM bolts are gonna be the black ones right here. They're gonna have this plastic nylon washer as well. If you want, you can take that and put it on there, but you're not gonna have any aluminum to steel contact, so you don't necessarily need that. And you're just gonna use your stainless steel hardware with a washer. All right, and now we're just gonna hand fasten our bolt into place just to get a couple threads to hold it in position. And then we'll go back and fasten everything down. All right, so now we're gonna attach our camera cover. Using our new hardware that's in our kit, you're gonna have a 13 millimeter bolt and nut that are gonna fit right in. I'm just gonna hand tighten so I can get all of my fasteners on, and then we'll go back with a wrench on the nut to fasten it all the way down. All right, now we're gonna fasten down all of our bolts using our 3/16 Allen key. On the back, I have a 13 millimeter wrench. And now we're gonna use our camera mounting screws to mount our camera and stud assembly to our new tire holder. Now we're gonna take the connections for our brake light and backup camera and feed them back through the hole in our back door. You're gonna have to go 1 plug at a time for them to fit. And then we're gonna just kind of push our grommet through the back of the door. As far as our wires, we wanna kind of fish them down here to meet up with our connections. And our connections are gonna just plug right in. You really can't get them to go the wrong way. And they'll snap right on. We got one more here for our camera. There we are. All right, and now we're connected. So now we're gonna go through and fasten down all of our fasteners on the back door just to make sure we're at the manufacturer's torque rating from the manual. If you're looking to upgrade the wheels on your vehicle and give the back of your Jeep a sportier look, this is a great way to get that additional support on the back door and get those bigger wheels and tires on your Jeep. It does take a little bit of preparation and a lot of hardware to get this done, but it's definitely something you can do at home. And if it seems like a task that's a little bit more than what you want to take on, reach out to our dealer network. Just take a look at the link on etrailer.com. So this has been a look at the installation and some of the features for the MORryde spare tire replacement, JL reinforcement bar, and upgraded hinges for your Jeep Wrangler JL.